we have great irregularity. We couldn't really see it too well. You'd almost have to look at it without the leaves and the berries, and just gnarled looking. And the way it grows, if I can, I'll just describe it, and you'd see why it's gnarled. So a twig grows like this, and I'll show it against my background, against my shirt, and then it dies. It turns into a thorn there, and leaves are down the stalk further, and flowers and berries. And then the next year, it comes out this way from the side, and another, and it turns to a point again and dies on the end, causing a thorn. And then the next year, another one goes out like this, and it goes on and on like that. So it's growing in this very slow, rugged manner. Why would it do this? Well, here again, if you're out looking in the woods and in the fields more, it doesn't grow in the forest, it grows in open territory. It needs sunlight. As you saw in those pictures, none of those are in a forest. It's not big enough to compete. And why would it grow like that? It's to protect itself against the browsing of deer and maybe other animals, but certainly deer. And if you look at a wild apple, you'll see how the apple will grow up very like knobby like that around itself until it can get high enough to get above the deer, and then it starts to straighten out and put on a lot of crown. So we can almost see how 100 million, 200 million years ago, the apple said, one of them said, I'm going to start getting more and more thorny here, and I'm going to stop the animals with thorns, and I'm going to be even more effective. Of course, this took a while to evolve, but then we had the hawthorn, closely related to the apple, but a little different. And guess what? The apple's tasty. Oh, the deer, come over, eat me. The hawthorn is like, I'm not tasty at all. I don't know who eats the hawthorn berry, but not very tasty. Birds, I suppose. I think they can get in there, but the deer can't really get in there. So it's like, oh, I'm not going to waste the sugar on deer that can't eat me at all. So we almost understand evolution at work here, nature, the mind of nature. Okay, so signatures, though, this is the opposite of the digitalis and the evenness in the motherwort. This is where it's the opposite, and that maybe is a sign signature there. The irregularity from the way it grows is just really the sign. It's so irregular, so perhaps indeed it's used for damaged hearts and things like that. Okay, so that to me is the major signature there. There's a few. Excuse me. The berries are red, but a lot of berries are red. That doesn't always mean they're for the heart. Okay, so now we get into the uses themselves. How is this plant used and effectively? Okay, definitely heart tonic, and if you have a weak heart, the doctors are warning you, oh, they're the type of person they say, oh, you're going to have a heart surgery in a couple of years. Really, basically, the way to take this plant is just to permanently stay on it. You can go off it for 6 months, but really, if you have a damaged or weak heart, start just being on it on a regular basis, and it cuts down on the inflammation in the capillaries, and the blood flows through freer, and it keeps down the high blood pressure, or it regulates maybe if there's lower blood pressure, which is not always a problem, sometimes can be, not usually in heart conditions, but at any rate, it's normalizing the blood supply. It's also feeding the heart. I guess that's where maybe low blood pressure, you want good pressure, you want good feeding into the heart from the coronary arteries, and you really feel like an expansive, good feeling like in the heart. So I remember years and years ago when I lived at Sunnyfield, or for my beloved old farm in the 90s, early 2000s in Minnetrista, Minnesota. And I had hawthorns there, and I made some tincture, and I was, my friend Martha was over, and we were going to go out to a movie, and I just I was so proud of the taste. I said, oh, here, Martha, have a taste of this. And we walked out the door, and she started walking down the path, and said, oh, I feel my heart opening. And I said, oh, that's the hawthorn. because so I feel my heart chakra opening. That's what someone might say who is thinking, what it feels, or not the scientist. The scientist was like, it increases circulation of the heart. So she felt that her heart chakra opening because of that renewed blood supply there. And which probably meant she needed it. Actually, yeah, we did have her on a different simple heart medicine. Sumac, which I don't think I've ever used for heart medicine except in her case. But okay, so but this gets us to the mental state for Hawthorn, which is the heart is open. And I remember herbalist Karen Sanders said, I'd like to use it as for kind of like, she put her finger on it really well. Middle-aged men who can no longer believe in fairies, It's like it kind of opens you to that fantasy, to that love of the imagination and not being so serious and being a stick in the mud. And I do see it that way to some extent. It opens the heart. It may have visionary qualities too. In olden Celtic lore, the hawthorn represented more the heart and the rose the eyes. And all around the whole world, rose is used as an eye remedy, but also to open the sight to the fairy world. And if you see the fairies they'll steal your heart, as the songs say. So you might need the hawthorn. Okay, so strengthens the heart, circulation of the heart, and then the peripheral circulation in addition. Okay, so we might say that's use number 1 or 1 and 2, and then use number